Welcome to Youth Baseball Talk with Gabriel and Chris. Today's guest is Ryan Fuentes with Texas Stix Baseball. Thanks for coming in today, Ryan.
Hey, man, excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, once again, thanks, man. Hey, tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so originally grew up, born and raised Euless, Texas. My family is from Irving, Texas, so when I was younger, that's where I played all my youth ball pretty much, T-ball and over there at the Euless on Midway, ballpark on Midway. And then once I got to about kid pitch, they moved me in the river bottoms. That's what they call it. It's a YBT, Irving Baseball Association. Played there all the way till about, I think I was 12 years old. So like a kid pitch. Then we started, some family passed away that was in Irving. So we just kind of relocated playing ball in Hurst. Played in the Tri-Cities League till I was about 14, 15. And then after that, rec ball back then was a lot different than it is now, more competitive, but at the same time, like mom, dad, I'm dominating. Like these kids aren't getting the best. Like I'm not getting better. Right. I already know I'm good, but I need to get better. And so I jumped over to the Dallas Patriots for their 16-year-old team.
So you started travel ball late then?
16 years old.
That's considered late, right?
Yeah, very late, very late.
Okay.
So it's funny when I jumped into it, all these kids, they're talking about all the tournaments they played and stuff, and I was like, dude, And the thing is, when I was playing in Irving, since I didn't have an Irving address, I couldn't play on the All-Star teams. I made the team every year, but my parents were so honest. Instead of using like my grandparents' address, they would use our address. So I never got to play on those All-Star squads. So, travel ball 16, played with the Dallas Patriots. Then I jumped over to with a coach that I actually coach now with the scout team with the Stix, Omar Turner. He was a former cornerback in the NFL. Real big student of the game, great coach, and now it's funny. Over 10 years later, I'm back coaching with him now.
Nice.
Yeah, so we're with the Texas Stix. Back then, it was the Dallas Angels. He worked with Omar Washington, who started the Dallas Panthers back in the day. He was also one of the Aflac All-American coaches for high school. So yeah, it's been a fun ride, man. And now after played at Euless Trinity, played with the Dallas Angels in high school. Signed extremely late. The summer after my senior year, I signed with Alcorn State. It was kind of like one of the, you tell these kids coming up, like, just keep grinding,
Yeah.
Coaches will be there. And if you're shining that day, even if they're looking at somebody else, you might impress them. And that's exactly what happened.
Let me go back to that. You just said something golden that I tell my son all the time. It's golden. You said you were picked up by, or someone listening or watching another player picked you up, basically, is what you said?
Exactly. That's exactly what happened.
I tell my son, it doesn't matter what school you go to, you go play ball, there's going to be a scout watching someone else, and they're going to say, who is that kid right there?
Absolutely. So that was a blessing playing with Omar and the Dallas Angels. We were a majors team back then. Okay. So we were playing the top Dallas Patriots teams, the top D-bat teams, right. All those Dallas Tigers. So I was playing cream of the crop. And luckily, the coach for Alcorn, who was recruiting one of our outfielders, was there, and I didn't even know he was there. I had like a no-hitter going into the fourth inning, and then we got washed out because of rain. And then he just pulls me up to the side. And before that, I'd been talking with some JUCOs, but no serious inquiries. And
this is travel ball?
This is travel ball.
Okay.
Yeah, travel ball. And this is summer right before like going into my freshman year of college. So I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew I wanted to play ball.
So you weren't signed or nothing going into college?
That summer before going into freshman year of college, I was not signed until, I want to say it was late June. Yeah, late June or early July, somewhere in there. Yeah, so it was just a crazy ride, man. I just kept the faith, kept working hard.
You hear that, kids?
Yeah, I mean,
keep working hard.
It's crazy because they don't believe it, but like, I'm living proof. I did not even know the coach was there. Just went out there, played to my best ability, pitched well, impressed the coach, and then he talked with my coach and was like, I like him. Let's see how he progresses over the summer because he saw the schedule. Go out there against the best D-bat team in the Metroplex. They had probably 8, 9 Division I major commits, like second baseman playing TCU, center fielder's going to Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Third baseman's going to Kansas type deal. I mean, they were all studs, all signed. Wood bat league, broke a couple bats.
Mowing them down.
I mean, I pitched well. I think that talk with that coach, I mean, I never had it before. And they're like, first thing he comes up to me, like, how do you feel about playing Division I baseball? I'm just like, I mean, that's the dream, right? Go play the D1 level.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about Alcorn really going into it, but I just knew Division I baseball.
Yeah.
I did a little research, HBCU, black school. Didn't know the situation at all when I got there, but I mean, it was a blessing. I mean, I've been very blessed, but this game has blessed me in so many ways, giving me education, giving me more education with my masters.
And that's the big thing that I want these kids to understand. You know, who cares if you don't go D1? You know, if you're offered a scholarship, you take whatever you get.
The best advice I can give kids is go where you think you're going to play or you have the best chance to play.
Right.
You know, there's some kids who get so caught up in it's like, oh, well, I want to go to Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'll just go walk on at Ole Miss. Well, you get no play. You end up getting kicked out the program because you get burnt out or you're just not good enough.
Yeah.
And then what? When you had, you know, maybe like a 50% offer or a good offer from a junior college or maybe a Division II or somewhere or something like that, or maybe a lower D1.
Exactly.
And you just thought you were too good for that program. And Alcorn, I didn't know this, but our schedule was stacked, man. Like we traveled the country. We had my freshman year, we had the 14th.
What year?
2011, spring 11. So got there in fall 2010. Played 4 years, and then took me another year to finish my bachelor's. Things happen, you know.
Yeah,
college.
Life. Yeah.
And finished the 5th year, but it ended up being a blessing in disguise because I was a student assistant. But I wasn't just like doing a chart or nothing. I was coaching first base, calling pitches. You know, I made the impression on my coach through my career, 4-year career. He saw me progress in my knowledge of the game and controlling a game because I ended up calling my own pitches basically when I got to my senior year as a starter, the Friday night guy. So earned his respect. And then with that, showing that with that work ethic, I mean, kids, this is huge. Like work ethic and character can carry you so far, even if you don't have the talent or skills.
See, there you go. You're answering questions I'm going to ask you, baby.
Yeah,
Just coachability, huh?
Just coachability, having good character, not burning bridges. You might not agree with somebody. Like me and my head coach, we didn't agree on everything.
Right.
There were some situations probably in the past where I was like, dang, well, why didn't I get put in or why didn't I do this and that? But the man believed in me at the end of the day to call pitches for the team. I mean, he was in my ear the whole time, but a lot of times he'd be like, what are you calling right here?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I'm going fastball, 2 balls out. He's like, good. He already knew. So we were on the same page with that. Coaching first base, I mean, that's a dream. You're over there, at Alex Box, LSU, coaching first base. Or, it's just crazy things like that. And I mean, thank God for all the opportunities and just keeping my head on straight, trying to work hard. And it got me from there. And it was a crazy revolving door how it happened. So my head coach was at Grambling State before Alcorn.
Okay.
And his graduate assistant is now the head coach at Grambling, James Cooper.
Oh, nice.
So things didn't happen. He ended up getting out of Alcorn, and I'm sitting there right after that. I graduated from Alcorn 15, going into 16. I'm like, what am I going to do? I was going to be a GA at Alcorn under B. Ray, and went back home, worked a regular job, just trying to figure things out, and I get a phone call from Cooper over at Grambling. He's like, hey, man, I heard you want to be a GA. I was like, yeah, man, what's going on? He's like, look, I got a scholarship for you. It's all lined up, And we had talked a couple times, but very brief, like at the conference tournaments and stuff. Yeah. And I didn't know the connection that he had with my head coach. And then one thing led to another. I ended up being the pitching coach at Grambling and being a GA for 2 years. So it's just keep paying your dues.
There you go. Exactly. Is that where you finished your collegiate level coaching?
No. So right after I graduated from Grambling, got my master's in sports administration. When I was at Grambling, there's the Western and Eastern divisions. My first year, we won the Western division, first time in like 20 years. So that was a big deal. And we were busting the tournament, tuna barbecue. Never even experienced that as a player at Alcorn, so it was new to me. And we were extremely talented. The next year, we didn't win the West, but we got all the way to the championship game. So I was literally one game away from getting one of these with a G on it.
Oh, nice.
So that was a heartbreaker. That year, we also played Florida International, who had the #1 recruiting class in the nation. We took a game in that 3-game set, huge upset. Took Arkansas, played them in Little Rock at a minor league, took them deep. I mean, we had a 2-run lead going to the bottom of the 8th. I mean, it was
Man.
a sold out crowd. It was standing room only. I mean, for a midweek game against Grambling, which is a really
Right.
small school,
Yeah.
and it was over 8,500 people there. Yeah, it was nuts. So they do their little pig suey thing,
Yeah.
and our boys they tighten up a little bit, and then my starting, we ended up the way I scripted it. I was like, I'm gonna keep them guessing. I literally let the starter go 2 innings, then new guy. Like nobody's gonna get a second look.
Nice.
That was my game plan
Yeah.
going into it, and it worked pretty beautifully all the way up to the end. And then my Friday night guy ended up being the guy to close it. And he just didn't trust me for some reason. Man, he started shaking stuff,
things
and
off.
everything he shook got smashed. I was just like, and we got him out of there too late, and we ended up losing the game. Like, I think it was like 6-4. It was like a two-run lead, and we just couldn't come back from it. I mean, it was a nuts game. We had a Drexler, who was our catcher. He was up to bat, and they pull their guy, and they bring in this big lefty throwing 97 miles an hour, and he's just trying to. This kid was from Curacao. He's like from the islands.
Oh yeah.
So he's seen this type of play before. He's not intimidated by this velo, and they're just trying to pound fastballs, 96, 97, 95 from the left. And he's just fouling them back. And he runs into one. Gap shot, 2-run lead. I mean, you could hear a pin drop right after that. It was crazy.
Wow.
So like experiences like that. When I was at Alcorn my senior year, we had a mix-up some reason with our senior day. So I never had a senior day my senior year. That was tough. Mama was upset. And coach was like, well, Ryan, what can I do to make it up to you? I was like, I was a Friday night guy. Just threw a complete game against a conference game on that Friday. Well, LSU was coming up that following Tuesday. I'm like I'm not going to have no velo, but I want to start at Alex Box. Like I want to start against LSU. So nervous. It was. I mean, there's probably about 3,000-4,000 people there. It was just a small midweek game, but I think I hit the first batter in the foot. And I think the umpire, he could see I was nervous, and I think he let it slide. So shout out to that umpire.
You're lefty, right?
Righty.
Oh, you're righty.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
I was a kind of funky guy. I had a 3/4 slot. So yeah, first guy gets on. Next guy pops out. It's all in the first, and I'm looking at the radar gun. I'm like 82, 83. I'm just like, oh, this is tough. They're probably just licking their chops. I can't wait to hit this guy. And not knowing this, so it's a runner on first base, 1 out, get 2 strikes on the batter, strike him out, throw him out to get out the inning, and my arm's hanging. I got nothing in the tank. They're like, you want to go out one more? I'm like, nah, I'm good. And so we actually played him real tough. It was like 7. We were winning 7-2 at one point.
Oh dang!
Against LSU, against Maneri and his boys. And not only that, I was never a stat guy in the game. Like I didn't check lineups. I didn't check my stats week to week. Some guys are really big on that. Just went out there like, if I'm doing well, I know I'm doing well.
Right.
We'll see what it looks like at the end of the year. I go back and look, and on deck to hit against me, if I went back out, leadoff batter would have been Alex Bregman.
You said psych.
Yeah. I didn't even know that at the time. That's the crazy part. Like I was just so caught up in the moment. Yeah. So Alex Bregman that would be the leadoff batter going into that second inning.
With your arm hanging.
Yeah.
So where
probably for the best.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So where did you go after, I guess, your second tour at Alcorn?
Straight here to Shelton, man.
Straight to Shelton.
I took a leap of faith. Kind of like put it on God's side. I was like, things weren't working out. We were doing well. COVID killed us.
Mm-hmm.
The COVID year, we luckily we got our 2 big games in the SEC, and right before COVID hit, we played Ole Miss first, took them into extras in the 10th inning.
Oh wow!
It was a slugfest, man. I think there's like 4 home runs hit that game. Yeah, it was back and forth, and then Cervinio walks it off on us in the 10th.
Dang.
So that beer showered it in the game. But that was the first time in the history of the 2 programs playing each other. I mean, when you could look at our place, we don't even have a decent batting cage. We have lips on our field, huge. It's just like we just don't have the money.
Right.
Like baseball isn't funded very well, and you go to, Ole Miss, and it's a pro atmosphere.
Yeah.
Locker rooms decked out, playing surface flawless. I mean, they have everything they need to be successful, and for us to do that, if we would have beat them, we probably would have made Sports Center.
Yeah.
I mean, that game is probably, as a coach, one of the toughest losses I've ever experienced. Probably.
Yeah.
besides us losing the SWAC championship at Grambling, then there was the Arkansas game and Ole Miss. Like those three, those were just
Those were hard ones.
Because I mean, those are game changers for your program.
Exactly.
I mean, we could have got. I mean, it did help when I was recruiting. It's like, look, you know, guys saw it. I mean,
you say when you were recruiting.
Yeah. So
what were you doing? You skipped something, man.
No, my bad. I was so after I was done at Grambling, I got hired on at Alcorn under a different head coach.
Okay.
First assistant, pitching coach, and recruiting coordinator. So that's where I was doing my recruiting from 2019 to literally just this last fall. That's when I left. So like started this new year, moved back in the area. But yeah, it helps sell. I mean, they see us on SEC Network. They see us on YouTube. You know, like you can pull up a video on YouTube right now. We take a 4-0 lead on Ole Miss in the first. I'm over there like clapping up, dapping up a guy getting on base, coaching first base. So stuff like that helps sell the program.
Exactly.
Got to build the uniforms. We got a brand new Adidas deal when I was there. Got to design all the uniforms myself. That was fun.
Sweet.
Yeah. So boys were dripped out.
So this is your so this is your first year at Shelton.
First year at Shelton. Yeah. So
you're varsity head coach over there?
Yeah, it was a crazy situation, man. I came in originally just as a stipend assistant. Things weren't going well early in the season. Some changes were made to where I was appointed to head coach.
Gotcha.
The boys they stepped up to the occasion. I know it was probably a little scramble in their mind. You know, okay, this guy was our head coach. He's a guy who's been here in the past. This new guy comes in. Okay, what are we gonna do? But I got him to buy in. You know, we went on a 4-game winning streak in district.
Yep.
Turned it around. So I ended up as a head coach. I was 6-4 on the season. We ran into a really tough team in Lubbock.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You'll always run into a tough team in Lubbock.
Yeah. So first round of the playoffs, we ran into some big boys.
Yeah.
And to make me feel a little bit better, Grace Prep, they won our district and they went undefeated.
Right.
They lost 15-1 to the same team. Yeah. So yeah, I mean the boys could just flat out hit.
Yeah.
And they had power arms. They had up 5 D1 JUCO commits going to like Odessa, playing in the Whack-Jack, one of the best JUCO conferences in junior college baseball. So they were just built different for sure.
So how do you like going from coaching collegiate going into high school?
It's a big change. You know, coaching Division I baseball is a dream. It's a completely different experience, especially when you get to go play these big SEC, Big 12 schools. So I mean, it's a little different, but it's my first head coaching job. So I've always been an assistant somewhere. So now, even though I didn't get to start the season off as mine, I still ended up running the show, running practices how I wanted to do. And that was fun, and I really enjoyed that, and it was a really good experience for me because, you know, when you're an assistant, you're like, I could probably do things this way. I want to do it this way. And like, I would do it so much different.
Yeah.
And then that spotlight's on you, and now you're just like, all right, now it's time. You know, I think it's like something like from God, like, oh, you've been talking all this mess. You're gonna do this.
Here you are.
Here you go.
Go ahead.
Here you
Go
go.
ahead.
And literally, and then it was crazy how it all worked out. It was just literally just thrown into the fire a little bit, but you know, came out on top. We went to the playoffs. Had 3 guys first team all district, 2 guys second team all district, 2 honorable mentions, 1 guy top batting average in the DFW Metroplex, Grace Tracy, literally number 3, batting .512.
Yeah.
So I got these kids to buy in because it could have went one way or the other.
Yep.
It could
have been the end of the season.
It could have been. Yeah. They could have quit. They'd be like, you know what? It's not even worth it anymore. But I had a good relationship with the boys coming in as an assistant, and they knew my background, and they knew I kind of knew my stuff. And it's funny, I even had one coach. I subbed at Shelton right now, and I was subbing at high school, and I had one of the boys in there. He's like, dude, you're pretty much our head coach anyway. This is before the head coach change was made. I thought that comment was crazy.
Yeah.
But I was like, I kind of respect it at the same time. Well, at least these boys, you know, they look at me a little different just as like a stipend assistant from the outside.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. So let me ask you, being at Shelton, you're going to be kind of spoiled because they actually have a middle school team. And a lot of those kids on the middle school team are in select programs. So, and most of the high school kids are as well.
Absolutely.
So you kind of have an upper hand as to a public school where some of the DISD, or not DISD, excuse me, some of the public schools don't have baseball.
Yeah.
And some of the kids, you know, aren't fortunate enough to play select ball or travel ball. So you've probably seen both sides of the fence. Like,
Yeah, it's a blessing for sure because you get to see these kids coming up through the ranks.
Mhm.
So like when you're a high school, public school coach with no middle school squad, nothing like that,
Yeah.
unless you're going out and watching
Right.
these kids or you like do your research, you're emailing or calling these middle school coaches like, hey, you know, I heard you got this guy, you know, who's he play with, and then you go watch for yourself. Well, then now go to like say show up to one of the middle school games, I get to see for myself. All right,
Exactly.
he's in 8th grade. Give me all right, cool. Know
No,
what
he's
I'm working with.
7th.
Yeah, he's 7th.
Then you're like, oh, I gotta wait.
man. But yeah, no, it's great. And going forward, you know, hopefully I get to stay the head coach. I was just put it in there. I think it's like kind of interim deal.
Mhm.
But if they keep me around, I would like to have a better continuity with the middle school and the upper school.
Yeah.
That way it can be like big brother, little brother, get the guys more working together. Whether this year I just feel like middle school kind of got a raw deal. They just didn't get much field time.
That's
so-
that's a different story. But
Yeah.
I mean, being at the varsity level, it's a blessing. You're gonna have that feeder program,
Oh,
like we
absolutely.
were just saying, instead of, you know, some other schools that, like you said, just explained, have to
Yeah.
call around and go see these kids play on their select teams,
Yeah.
where sometimes some of them don't, and all they could play is rec ball. You
Yeah.
know, and
rec ball's not what it used to be. That's for sure. And
true.
from like when me and you played, I mean, because that was before the travel ball scene really like
Right.
hit the ground
Yeah.
running, you know. But now
Man, rec ball used to be really, really
it was
competitive.
it
It's not that anymore. Now it's legit rec ball.
yeah, it's fun ball. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's go have fun.
That's true.
But I mean, no knock to, you know, if you're playing rec ball, you know, kids, you know, no knock to that as well. So
Right.
So how do you manage your team and your pitchers?
ooh. So, I mean, one thing is you have to have an understanding of, how do you say this? Like their conditioning and how deep they can go into a game. So, you know, it was big, especially at the college level. Like, I like to get 2 guys going in the pen, especially at the next level. Like, okay, if this guy ain't got it, boom, who's your next option? You can't be caught with your pants down
Mm-hmm.
in the moment thinking like, okay, who do I go to next? So like what I do is I always try to have multiple scenario lineups written before game. I like to have my lineup done day before. I don't like to show up to the park unless something crazy, a kid doesn't show up on time or they're not doing the right thing. But preparation is key. So you have to be prepared. You got to know, you have to be able to realize, okay, maybe he doesn't have it this day. Let's just get him out early. That way you don't kill his mental psyche. He starts getting down on himself and he starts to snowball down a hill, going down to a bad place. So really knowing your guys, knowing their strengths, knowing the strengths of the team you're going against. You know, if they're a fastball hitting team, you might have that guy throwing the upper 8s who's got a good fastball. But, you know, that soft lefty might come in and get the job done. You never know. So you just got to understand matchups, know your guys, trust your guys, and just kind of build that continuity, that relationship with your boys to where they believe in you as well with your pitch calling and all that stuff.
Okay, so do you have a pitch count in mind?
Oh, for youth ball, for sure. Yeah, like so with our 14U team with the Stix, like we definitely don't want any guys going over like 75. Like that's it. I mean, kids are 14.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have so much baseball ahead of them still. Like, and speaking from experience, a guy who had shoulder surgery, you know, throwing over 100 innings in a season, like you only have so many bullets to shoot to how many pitches you can throw.
Exactly.
So want to maintain that. Don't overwork them. Coming from a guy who's been overworked himself, like that's really big for me, learning from my experiences with my challenges. I mean, it got to a point where you had to come rip the ball out of my hand, but that was a whole different scenario. It's the last ride, but these kids have a future ahead of themselves. So
Yeah.
Exactly.
just got to keep them prepared and make sure we don't kill their arms too early.
As a recruiter, what were you looking for, and how? A lot of kids will want to hear this. What age were you looking at kids? Were you looking at high school? Were you looking at some lower high school?
So like with the recruiting deal, I mean, you always want to look high school, of course, but you
Right.
want to, like, you can only go after guys you can really know you can get.
Right.
So like I can't go after players who are like getting looks from like Ole Miss,
Mhm.
LSU, you know, those kind of guys. For me, I had to kind of go find diamonds in the rough, but you got to look for tools. You got to look for things like, okay, you know, what's his mental preparation coming into a game? Is he a guy who's over there talking to his girlfriend, hat backwards, having a good old time, not really focused on the game? And he could be a stud. But then you look at the guy who's more average, who's got the ethic. He's doing things the right way. You got to build relationships with these coaches to help understand these kids because not everybody has the fat recruiting fund or recruiting budget. So it's a lot of networking, get to know kids. But like skills, I mean, you get your 5 tools that you're looking for in a player. You want to look at how they are in the classroom as well. A lot of these kids forget that. And coming from, a Division I program, you only have 11.7 scholarships. Boom. We got 11.7 scholarships, athletics. LSU's got 11.7 scholarships with athletics. Anything past that, it's either academics or some kind of foundations or whatever you can find. Gotcha. So, like, these kids stay on your grades. Like,
y'all hear that?
Stay on your grades. Try and get that try and get the good ACT, SATs. Go for those academic scholarships, man, because if you run to a situation where you're looking at, say, you're a good ball player, but they only got like maybe 25%. They're tapped out, whatever. But say you get that provost, that presidential academic scholarship, that entices that coach a little bit more. Okay, maybe, he's a little bit more invested. If he can get 30% on his own through academics, and you really want the kid, like, look, you get that 30 there, we'll match it. 30, and so that's 60% or something like that. Because I've done that with kids. I mean, that was a game changer. You come in, they're going to already get this much academic money. So you add that athletic money on top of it, the kids bite on it. They're all about it. So, and Alcorn was a unique place where we had no out-of-state tuition. So that was also a big recruiting tool for us. We get a lot of kids out of state.
And with your Stix, what tournament are you looking forward to?
Ooh, Alabama. Perfect game.
Perfect game.
Them perfect game tournaments are tough, baby. They're tough.
They're tough, but we got a squad, man. I was with the Dallas Tigers originally before this, working with a 10U team, looking to have my own 15U team in the summer, but things fizzled out. Like I said, I played for Omar Turner, great coach, great teacher, just does everything the right way, and he gets the most out of his boys. And he called, and the practices are at the old high school at the U.S. Trinity, facilities 10 minutes down the road. It was just an ideal situation. With a great coach, and we have a good relationship, so we're pretty good, man. We got probably, if you took us, there's maybe 5 or 6 teams in the area at 14U major who are even compared to us size-wise. I mean, we're pretty physical. We got a couple kids most teams are already 6 foot or higher.
Oh wow.
Kids are already throwing the mid 8s, probably upper 8s on some good days. A lot of pop at the plate. I mean, we're looking to make some noise this year. But with them, they know they're good. That's the thing. And like when you put us against the average major 14U team, the size difference is obvious. They know. So I mean, no knock to those teams, but I mean,
not at all. There's
a reason we're called the scout team.
Right.
There's definitely a reason there. I mean, our kids are good, and if they're hearing this, you're not that good yet. You're not that good.
Got a lot. Still use some work.
But what we talk about with those guys is, you have the skills, you have the talent, but do you have the maturity?
Right.
Are you ready to take that next step to be elite? You're good now, you're great, but are you ready? Are you willing to do what you need to do to be elite? It's just that's more of a mindset rather than skills, because you have to have that mental aspect. Everybody knows. What's the saying? Baseball is how much % mental? 90% mental, right? So
exactly.
It's a smart man's game. So you got to have your head right. You got to have that confidence, and you just got to show up every day. You can't just expect
for sure
to win.
For sure, man.
So
all right, Coach, man. I think that's gonna be it, and I think we're gonna wrap it up. Thanks for coming in.
Absolutely, I appreciate y'all having me, man. It's been fun.
Hey, thanks again.
Yeah.